Hello, Malty. Mysterious mumbling M's. Because it's a big protracted malt mention, I had to cut it down a little bit. But thank you to Pavel Kalinowski for the malt mention, introducing 928 extras. So, question is, where are the good whiskies to be found? It's all very well known, again, buying a bottle of bad whisky. These days, it's getting increasingly easy to do. I'm just giving you an opinion. You see, the thing is, malt mates, I buy virtually 100% of what I review on this channel. And I always have done. In the very, very rare occasion that I am given a bottle of whisky, I will absolutely ensure that I let you know. And this has happened once in 5 years. So I'm out there with the money from the Google AdSense income from advertising, and also from my Patreon pal supporters. A big shout out to my pals who are following me on RALFY Ralphie and Patreon, who are getting some very juicy extra content that I don't put out in the main channel, because they're subscribers and very valuable helpers in helping me to provide a budget for the spirits that I buy. And you see, this gives me an advantage. And the advantage is that if I had been given a bottle of whisky, then there's an unwritten contract. And you've got to play the game. And this is the way journalism works. And there's plenty of online commentators who will take samples. But I think the main thing is, so long as they disclose it, so long as that they're not covering it up and trying to hide it, that's the important thing. Let the viewer decide on the value of the content. But in the interests of transparency and integrity, any reviewer who is reviewing a spirit and has been given it for free should really mention that. And another benefit of the fact that I buy my whiskies and other spirits is that I go to a shop and I get a bottle off the shelf, which is basically exactly the same bottle as you would be getting if you went into the shop and bought that bottle off that shelf round about the time that I did. And that's a big, big difference compared to the free samples given out by distillers, which tends to be bottled as very flattering versions of their brand. And it's not the first time over the years that I've tasted a given bottle from a distillery and compared it directly with one I owned. And they were the same single malt, but the two were very different quality. Very different. Not just a bit, by the way. Serious difference. But I don't criticise the distillers for that, because it's business. They're looking after business. It's real life. Buyer beware, but buyer take care. But I want to help you to take care, buyer, because I know your pain. Because there's times I buy a bottle to review, and in the old days I'd just put it aside and I'd say, no, I'm not going to review that, it's not good enough for review. But that's changed now, because there's more and more single malts coming out that frankly are distinctly inferior versions of what they used to be, and I'm not happy about it. I'm really not. And you need to know this, because I'm not trying to be a nuisance here and disrupt the industry particularly. But when people buy one bad whisky from a bunch of 10, they'll forgive it. But when someone goes out and buys 2 or 3 bottles of bad whisky that they've not enjoyed, they stop buying whisky. They walk away. They go to bourbon, they go to rum, they go to rye. They'll buy a few bottles of cognac or brandy. They might even get into mezcal. Or maybe even grappa, because there's some really good grappa out there. You don't see it, don't hear about it, but it's out there. You don't need malt to have a malt journey. Malternatives can provide your malt moment as part of your malt journey. But if you're prepared to do a little bit extra work, you can certainly cut down the risk of buying a poor quality bottle of whisky. And you can do so significantly. If you take the 3-step challenge, and I'm going to explain the 3-step challenge to you now. The 3-step challenge to avoiding bad whisky. Great title. I'll use it for the video. Number 1, when you're looking at buying a bottle of whisky, get your mobile device out or go on your laptop and put the name of that whisky in, followed by reviews, into your search engine and just see what comes up. Look at the little star ratings and then follow them back to see where they're coming from, to make sure they're not marketing, that they're not uploaded. That's where you start. Point number 2, once you've narrowed things down and you're maybe avoiding the worst of the whiskies, build up a good rapport with a specialist liquor shop. You might not actually visit there too often, but if you order by mail and they know you as a good customer, and furthermore you've checked them out to see if the people behind the counter who are managing the till actually know what they're talking about. I want to tell you about these people. Some of them are just in there for the money, possibly part of the family, and they're not actually interested in spirits at all. So they can tell you nothing. They're useless in that respect. They'll give you the bottle, they'll take your money, they'll give you a receipt, and you'll leave. And that's fine, so long as you know where you stand. But in other specialist retail shops, you've got people who, it's become a little niche in their life. They happen to find themselves doing that job. They take an interest in what they're doing. And one reason why is because when they're buying whisky in from suppliers and bottlers and distillers, they get free samples. So they can get to sample spirits rather than you having to pay for them. And then they can tell you what they thought of them. And if they respect you and respect themselves, they're going to give you an honest opinion. And that gets to the point when you build up a rapport that you say to them, you walk in and you say, rightio, what do you think would be interest to me? Don't tell them what you're looking for. Ask them what they think you should be looking for. This will open up your panorama and your view of single malts significantly. And over time, you'll see more and more and more independent bottlings feature and fewer official bottlings, particularly, unfortunately, from the biggest makers of whisky. Corporate multinationals work a certain way and they're looking to engineer and feed from a certain socio-demographic passive consumer. And when they've got the volume of the operation, they need that because there's not enough serious anoraks and genuinely informed connoisseurs to go around for all these bottles. And once you kind of lose your reputation, it's very, very hard to get it back, if you ever do. Just ask Glendronach. Third step, whisky clubs, online whisky clubs, whisky forums, video whisky sites, Reddit whisky sites, Facebook whisky sites. Some of the old-timer, well-entrenched review sites like myself at ralphie.com, or you could go over to Whisky Fun. There is more availability of reviews, of informed reviews on whisky in 2022 than has ever existed in the history of whisky. And to avoid bad purchases and your disappointment, make full use of this resource, because the more you do the homework, the more the bottles of whisky you buy are going to pass the quality control targets that you've set for them. And the less disappointed you are, and the more your malt journey is filled with wonderfully tapestried and rich malt moments. There you go. I'm Ralphie, hope you've enjoyed this. Click subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, because I will be putting out loads more whisky reviews, and I'm sure I'm probably going to be reviewing a whisky that you're not aware of, but you should be aware of, because in fact it's really good quality and the price is pretty decent, and you're going to have to be in there quick before the prices go up because of one of my reviews. It's real life. Bye.